Hey guys, IceWire here and welcome back to the channel. Now today we are going to be talking about Bloodlines 2 and specifically the Malkavians. Now there are a lot of Malkavian lovers out there. I am one of them. I think the Malkavians are really interesting and I want to talk about how they're going to be represented in Bloodlines 2 because a recent article has just come out within the past couple of days talking about how the Malkavians are going to be represented in the game. So let's talk about it. The article is simply titled Improving the Depiction of Mental Illness and Vampire the Masquerade. Bloodlines 2 writer Brian Mitsoda says developer Hardsuit Labs is moving away from the wacky kind of mental illness. Now if you're familiar with Bloodlines 1, you have probably had a go at playing a Malkavian at some point in your time with the game, and there's a lot of interesting things that happen. One of the many things that happens is you can get into an argument with a stop sign, you can have a conversation with the TV news reporter while you're hanging out in your haven, and your dialogue alone is vastly different compared to the other clans' dialogue.
Hey! Heard anything? Kind of musky. Did you hear the one about the tuna and the chef?
You react to things much differently compared to your Bruja or Toreador counterparts in the Masquerade universe, the World of Darkness universe I should say. And a lot of people love the very out there, wacky Malkavian clans. However, it appears that things are going to be just a little bit different with the Malkavians this time in Bloodlines 2. Now the next few quotes that I will be reading out in this video are all from this article that has come out, so let's just dive into the first one. Bloodlines, released 15 years ago, made mental illness the butt of many jokes when playing as a character from the deranged Malkavian clan, the dialogue for which was infamously written in a very short span of time. I think more time could have been spent developing these characters at the time, but their presentation in the first game is due more to the strain of having to get them out quickly. Writer Brian Mitsoda tells us. I think people still enjoy the unique experience of them, but I don't think they're a great examination of mental illness and shouldn't be held up as one. Now if you're unfamiliar with the Malkavian clan, I actually have a video on the Malkavians, specifically the Malkavians in Bloodlines 2 that you can check out. There's the thumbnail for it right there. I'll provide a link in the description or the pinned comment, one of the two. But just to sum them up really quickly, in case any of you are new and you're just kind of jumping on board to Bloodlines 2 as your first dive into this franchise, the Malkavians are one of the 13 clans that exist in Vampire the Masquerade, which is originally a tabletop RPG. They're vampires that are kind of the oracles of the vampire world. They have an insight that other vampires don't have. They can see things and hear things that either are helpful or not so helpful. A quote from this article describing the Malkavians actually says that they are often referred to as insane, lunatics, or madmen. So they're incredibly insightful into the world around them, but at the same time their mental health is just not that great. And those two parts that make up a Malkavian form what is known in the game of Bloodlines 2 as their ability called dementation. And their mental illness is designated as their clan curse. Each clan in the Masquerade universe has a curse. Mental illness and some like derangements, they're specifically called derangements, are their clan curse. Now moving on a little further into this article, there is another part that I want to cover much more in depth. And keep in mind the quote that I read at the beginning from Brian Mitsoda. There is another one coming up and I want to give my full thoughts on both those but mash them together, if that makes any sense. I hope that makes sense. I had a long night last night. With mental illness being a core identifying trait of the Malkavians, some roleplayers take that as a license to behave erratically for the purposes of slapstick hijinks. That has come to be labelled as playing a fish milk, based on the idea of a player like this using the clan's weakness to suddenly slap somebody in the face with a fish for no reason, for example. Malkavian player characters in the first game have that option, which often makes them the butt of a joke stemming from their own mental illnesses. 15 years on, these depictions no longer interest Mitsoda. I think in general I'm pretty tired of any weird, over-the-top or violent characters being dismissed as, well, they're crazy. That's just lazy. I still see this in movies, games, and TV all the time. The core trait of the Malkavian clan is still dementation, but Mitsoda has expressed interest in doing a more nuanced exploration of it. We're getting away from the wacky kind of mental illness. There's a part of the Malkavian presentation this time that really is a bit of a darker implication of not being able to tell what's real and what isn't. Now, this is the part that I want to talk about a bit in depth here. Now, I kind of have a love-hate relationship with the Malkavians. I think they're such an interesting clan. What makes them unique fascinates me. And in a sense, it's almost kind of sad how, you know, such an insightful, fascinating group of vampires also suffer from, like, really bad mental illness. And, you know, it's almost, I'm not entirely sure what the exact word I'm looking for here is, but it sombers you. You know, there's a lot going on here with this clan, and, you know, you can't really just sort of judge one Malkavian from a different Malkavian, because it's all different. Everybody is different. Take Jeanette from Bloodlines 1 and put her against Alistair Grout, who you don't see him, but you hear his dialogue in Bloodlines 1. These are two characters from Bloodlines 1. Both Malkavians, very different from each other. You know, there's a whole spectrum. So that's kind of why I find them very fascinating. But at the same time, there are some, like, people that roleplay Malkavians that definitely tend to lean more towards the fish milk side. If you're around on the internet in like 2002, 2013, or just when Suicide Squad was out, there are a lot of people that tend to use mental illness as like a quirky thing. They tend to use that, and you see it so much in like fandoms and whatnot. Basically, emo Tumblr 2012. If you were there, you know. If you weren't, good for you. It was not a good time. But I think Mitsoda is right. A lot of role players, not all of them, there's definitely not all of them, but there is a specific group of role players when it comes to Malkavians that tend to, you know, use like a mental illness that they've given their Malkavian character as like a slapstick joke for doing something crazy, like slapping someone in the face with a fish or a severed arm. Take your pick. I know a lot of people on the internet really like the wacky Malkavians. You know, there are some that enjoy the fish milks, and you know, if that's your thing, then go for it. You know, no one's gonna stop you from liking the fish milks. If you like your fish milks, who am I to stop you? Who is anybody to stop you? Just for me personally, if someone's idea of role-playing a Malkavian is making them like a, I don't know, edgy Suicide Squad Harley Quinn type that acts like a cringy 14-year-old that like stood well on Tumblr at 3 AM in the morning and posts really angsty stuff along with some slapping people in the face of a fish, it's, I don't know, just that sort of thing I don't like. It doesn't sail well with me. The final part that I want to cover in this article is just a few paragraphs right at the end, so I'm going to mash them together and read them for you, and then just give my overall thoughts on them. I'm writing a different character from a completely separate game that was referenced earlier in the article. Mitsoda did his research on the portrayal of that character's mental health, and he plans on treating the Malkavians with the same care. Pretty much for anything I write, I don't go in blind. That said, he emphasises to us that the Malkavians of Bloodlines 2 will not be one-to-one representations of mental illness or those who live with one or several. The playable characters in the game are exclusively vampires, which are, by their nature, inherently dangerous. I want people to have an understanding that the Malkavians aren't an accurate representation of mental illness, but are influenced by it. But at the same time, being a stand-in for people with similar problems, I don't want them to be purely comic relief. As I said before, I'm pretty tired of mental illness being used as a crutch in writing, the twist or punchline being the character is crazy. It's pretty obvious when a writer has just written themselves into a corner if they use the "they're crazy" excuse to justify sudden shifts in motives or character traits. He concludes, if the Malk experience gives players a fraction of perspective of someone dealing with something close to this, that will be a win for me. When it comes to writing characters in general, whether you're writing a story or working on a video game like this, it can be easy to fall into the trap of, their motivations are just, they're crazy. Or the plot twist is, wow, they're crazy. It's revealed that they're crazy. That happens a lot. But sometimes, I will give it the benefit of the doubt, it is done well. Now, spoiler alert if you have not finished Bloodlines 1, this is regarding Jeanette and Therese Vorman. When it is revealed that they are in fact the same person with two personalities living inside them, that reveal was really, really good. I was not expecting it when I played the game. I thought, two separate people, vampires. So, that was a cool twist. I enjoyed that twist. I think it was well done. The lead up to it was good. Because I had no idea Jeanette was a Malkavian. I thought she was maybe just like a really, really, really out there Toreador, but no, she was Malkavian. And I thought Therese was a Ventrue, just because of how she portrayed herself. She was collected, I wouldn't say calm, but focused. She was focused, and she had goals and ambitions, and she wanted to do anything and everything to, get what she wanted done, compared to her sister, who just wanted to, be the life of the party, and, have some fun with people, if you get my drift. In that particular case, I liked how they handled the Vorman twins. They really, really knocked it out of the park there. However, I do think, there's a lot of examples of people who definitely find themselves being, cornered and then turning a character's motivations to the point of, they're just crazy. A really and sad example of this, I have to say, would probably be the final season of Game of Thrones with Daenerys. Daenerys is a character who had a really shitty beginning. She was sold off to a random violent man as a child bride, and from there on she just had to build her way and work her ass off to gain power, to gain even an ounce of respect from people. And people loved her. She did a lot of good things and had to make a lot of sacrifices to benefit those that she was trying to, help. All of that. And then season 8, it just ends in her finally going mad, seemingly for no reason other than the bells? Doesn't make much sense. In the end, Daenerys just became a mentally unstable woman, and that's probably the one example that comes to mind in terms of, writing taking a turn for going the I'm crazy route when they get stuck in a box. In the Malkavians' case, they're still going to be true to themselves. The Malkavians are still going to be the same clan that we know. They're still the oracles, the visionaries, the lunatics, the jesters of the Vampire the Masquerade universe. But this time around, they're just going to be taken a little bit more seriously. I mean, obviously, some characters in the game are definitely not going to take the Malkavians seriously, but at the same time, in terms of portraying their mental illness, the Hatsu Labs are just trying to take a more mindful approach to things, and I think that should be celebrated. And you have to be a little bit more conscious of things you say and do, and how you present your characters that you create to the public. Overall, I'm in support of this change, and I'd love to know what you guys are thinking down in the comments below. How do you feel about this? I'll link the full article in either the description or the pinned comment. One of those places, you will find it. I'm not sure if anyone agrees with me or disagrees with me. There might be some that disagree with me. but I don't know, I feel like it's time to take the Malkavians a little bit more seriously and less of a punchline for a joke. But yeah, nah, overall those are my thoughts, and I just wanted to share them really quickly with you guys on the internet.
Consider supporting me on Patreon, as it feels to grow for my content's quality and the variety and production of said content that you guys get to see all here on the channel. And of course, as always, a huge thank you to my current patrons. They are Nicholas Montoya, Hasgirl, Cooladora, Kay, and Zapfinouch. And if you want to see your name shouted out at the end of the video like these guys, do hop over onto Patreon and have a look around at the cool rewards on offer. Or if you don't want to deal with the whole monthly subscription stuff, do consider checking out my Ko-Fi. If an easy, breezy, or one-stop donation is more your thing, do check that out.
It is IceWire signing off, and I'll see you later next time on the channel. Have a lovely day / night wherever you are in the world, and I'll see you guys next time.